Now, another important point, another important point, another very important point. Based on past papers, SBR examiner also examined ethical matters, the ethical issues that is beyond the accounting errors and the malpractices. Examiner sometimes examine the ethical case, the question 2, having ethics, but ethics matter beyond basic accounting errors and the malpractice. Like this is the case of the March-June 21 case. But I strongly suggest that once again, we have to take 5 minutes break to re-energize, then we will work out accordingly. Okay, before moving towards another part of the situation of the ethics, we have to cover another point. The examiner report for December 18. The question we have discussed here, now it's time for the discussion. The examining team shares their observation from the marking process to highlight strength and weakness in the candidate's performance and constructive advice for the future candidates. Now, for this question that we have attempted. Now, come on. Number 1, question 2 require very important point, very highlighting, very important point. The question 2 will require candidates to discuss a specific accounting issue provided in the question scenario. Further discuss the ethical implications of certain events, circumstances which have occurred with the corporate environment. The ethical problem will extend beyond simple accounting errors and malpractice. In this question, candidates were required to discuss how property should be accounted for, with explaining the implication of the accounting treatment of the financial statement and debt component. Okay, this is what expectation. Now, number 1, the very important. The property should not have been classified investment property. Classification had implication of gearing, debt covenant, and entity were going concern. Many candidates felt that investment property classification was justified, where candidates concluded some justification property was investment property. Some marks awarded. The next line is very much important, where candidates made a reasonable attempt of calculation, then the own figure rule, OFR, was used to justify the conclusion by candidate. What is the meaning of OFR, own figure rule? A lot of students ask that, sir, if the question have 4 marks and initial 2 marks we have done wrong with the calculation, but remaining 2 marks for the theoretical aspect we have done right. So will the examiner give some mark? That is the answer. If you have done something wrong at initial part, the examiner will assume that figure as own figure rule, and the rest of the part which you have done right with the logical sequence, the examiner will give you the mark. So in a particular scenario, some part is right, some part is wrong, you will get the marks. Assuming whatever you have done, examiner will assume that's own figure rule. Is this the golden point for you? Yes or no? Do reply me. Okay, next. Many candidates discussed the fair value IFRS 13 at length and quoted various levels of fair valuation. In these circumstances, few marks were given to quoting IFRS 13. Means a relevant answer. The point is a relevant answer, as it was not the point of question. Again, it is important that candidates answer the question and discuss how property should have been accounted and implication of incorrect financial statement and debt covenant. Examiner mentioned that the always answer your question according to the requirement. The details of IFRS 13 is not important here. That is the point. Okay. Moreover, the second part of the question required discussion whether the revenue arising for sale contract recognized stage of completion. Okay, as mentioned, IFRS 915 in the question to prompt regression regurgitation of 5 steps of the revenue. This type of answer gains few marks as this level of exam required knowledge, candidate knowledge of a specific requirement. This is the case. Candidate should have stated entity, determine whether it's promised to construct asset, performance obligation, satisfied over the time. Generally, candidates obtain at least half marks on this part. Means the challenge, means the knowledge. Okay, the very important aspect is this one. The final part. Consider ethical consequence of the action of the managing director and the pressures placed upon accountant to agreed incorrect accounting practice. This part of the question was generally well answered. Full marks often awarded. The main issue, this is the question part. The main issue was that some candidates simply quoted ethical guidance without applying the scenario. So rote learning just mention the list of code of conducts, identify some 2 points, threads, you will not able to get marks. Professional marks were awarded for the quality of ethical discussion, and where candidates did not apply ethical guidance of the scenario, further marks were lost. If you not work out with the logical sequence, you will not able to get quality or professional marks. So are you getting the point? Whatever I am telling you about the marks management, time management, meeting the examiner expectation, it's all about examiner report. Do remember that the documents I've shared with you already, that's extract of the examiner report. Is that clear? Can you please reply me? Is this are these examiner report points and the discussion I'm working that is valuable for you? Yes or no? Now it's your responsibility to bear all the things in your mind and then work out accordingly. Now, last point. Okay. Examiner sometimes, like March, June 21, examined the question of ethics, the question to SBR ethics, comparatively in a different way. Comparatively in a different way. In a different way. Means issue of ethics, but it's not conventionally like accounting issue, something uh, wrongly happened or manipulated or deliberately uh, uh, deliberately manipulate the IFRS matters, for example, the provisions or the IS 40 like this. It's something different. For example, this is the matter. Bismuth company is a mining company. Investors in Bismuth company receive earning from mining projects, a return on investment. The year end 31st December X7. Blockchain technology provide information about ethical issue created by implementing blockchain technology. Blockchain, we are not here to discuss about in depth about what is blockchain. No, blockchain, the matter of the blockchain, it's actually about something to develop using the technology, using the database, including the customer database, including the supplier database, including companies information in a way to utilize our business, to utilize that data and business become more efficient. But with respect to the blockchain technology, we must have very much conscious that we must have very much conscious that the data must be managed in ethical way. The source of data must be managed in a very ethical way. Now, come on. Bismuth company plans to implement blockchain technology to store all of its data relating to mines, trading, and certified the ethical source of all its raw material. The chief accountant, Miss Pleasant, is currently developing a blockchain technology that will filed for patent. Miss Pleasant has only recently taken up the post, discovered that work then has previous employer, Gypsum company, is relevant to the project. If Miss Pleasant disclose this information, it will compromise the patent process at Gypsum company, but will consolidate her position as chief accountant in Bismuth company. When she left the employment of the Gypsum company, she signed a confidentiality agreement, but the clause were not clear or specific about information could be shared with whom. So this is a very different situation. Miss Pleasant facing the issue of apparently the facing the issue of the confidentiality of the previous employer about the information of the previous employer, but she signed the confidentiality agreement, but the clause was not clear. So what to disclose and what I not to disclose. Moreover, this is a comparatively different question. It's not about the manipulations or like this, but ethical. Miss Pleasant has significant knowledge of blockchain. This is another case, huh? But the finance director, another role finance director, Mr. Franklin has limited knowledge. Do you remember? Mr. Franklin is finance director. So there is a question about professional competence. This is my statement. Huh? I have mentioned that statement. Competence. Question about professional competence of it or the new business model that Bismuth company is trying to develop. Mr. Franklin has told her that there is no need to spend significant amount of time in creating a technology to ethically source material. Number one, the concern point of the finance director previous, the professional con. Number two, the question about moral values and ethics. means just collecting the data irrespectively. That's it. We are considering ethics or not. Miss Pleasant is you are reading the question and developing the mindset in your own. Miss Pleasant is worried about Mr. Franklin's lack of technical and legal knowledge, as she feels that it will affect the development of technology. In addition, some of the data concerning ethically sourced material has gone missing, and she thinks Mr. Franklin has erased the data to try and sabotage the project. This is the very serious issue. Mr. Franklin has told that board of directors that has in-depth knowledge of technology, and this is what Mr. Franklin has told to the director. That is something wrong statement. This is what about the question of March 21. And this is what about the extract of the ethics. The A part related to IFRS 15, that was independent, no ethical matters. B part, that is related to ethics. Discuss ethical issue raised by implementation, blockchain technology for both chief accountant and finance director, including any appropriate actions which should be considered to resolve this issue. 8 marks question, professional marks 2. Then what to say? If this is not the normal conventional type question, in total 11 past paper questions, 9 past paper, 2 specimen, 9 practice questions. You will face 2 types of question. You will observe 2 types of questions. Number 1, like previous, ham property, accounting issues, some ethical matters, connect with the case. Other points, very random, very unexpected, like this case. That is beyond the ethical issues, beyond the accounting implications. But the business case, that's a key point. But the rule to develop the ethical matter, the case for ethical matter remains same. That is number 1, identify the facts. Here, not about the accounting facts, but other issues. But and independently, with respect to chief accountant, with respect to finance director. The first case of the chief accountant about the confidentiality. The second case about the role of finance director, the ethical case for the finance director, and also facing by chief accounting some here issue, because chief accountant knows that what is going on with respect to the finance director. So here the term action points, you must reply me. The action points here we will discuss. Here we will write with whom point of view, chief accountant or finance director. You reply me. Chief accountant or finance director. Do reply me. Very good. With respect to the accountant. With respect to the accountant. So now, number 1, you have to plan. Number 1, plan. That's important. Plan. And then write discussion the key principal scenarios. The confidentiality, competence, action points, professional marks, all these things. The very important point, the first thing is confidentiality. For confidentiality, you have 3 marks. Someone asked me that for 3 marks, how much to write? For 3 marks, you have to write at least 2 points, but 2 complete points. 2 complete points. Two complete points. So first of all, the issue is about Miss Pleasant. Miss Pleasant is a difficult position as required to information. And do remember, this question is not about what is right, what is wrong. Your judgment, your knowledge, that's important. In general, she should respect confidentiality of the information. Number two, not to disclose information to the third party unless there is legal or professional right. So first thing is that about the emphasizing on confidentiality. Don't break the rule. Respect the confidentiality. No disclose until some legal or professional rights or obligation, some legal. And this is what about not to disclose for the self-interest. However, the nature of confidentiality agreement need to relevant here. Although not to disclose, but what the nature of the agreement you have signed in. That's important. What the nature. So this agreement may have to order protect commercial sensitive information because they are the competitors, the previous employer and the new employer. And if the agreement is not clear or specific, like the case, then it will be left upon ethical conscience. Means wish, the voice of heart of Miss Pleasant as whether she should disclose the information or not. It's not possible that Bismuth or any management pressurizing to Miss Pleasant to disclose the information. And Miss Pleasant have signed the contract. Although signed the contract, it's not specifically mentioned what to disclose, what not to disclose. But of course, whatever the NDA, non-disclosure agreement, whatever the agreement she signed, that was about some commercial sensitiveness. That was a sensitivity about the commercial aspects. But it's not 2 + 2 is 4. It's not 100% black and white here. So it's totally conscience. That means wish. That is the voice of inner voice of Miss Pleasant. So that is the point. I know this is something about very much judgment based here, but this is the case. Moreover, the second is about professional competence. This is what about the case related to the finance director. First of all, have to develop the case. Professional competence importance for any accountant or accounting professional person. He or she need to develop or I must say he or she must have to update about the new environment, including the technology. That's important. That means up to date with the environment. That's called the requirement of the professional competency, including digital literacy. So here the case, accountant should relevant decision useful, ensure right technology application, best interest of the business, new business model, present opportunity and accountant and so on. So the point is that in this case, Mr. Franklin obviously not aware importance of entity being environmentally aware, and he has told accountant not to worry about ethically sourced material. Two things important here. Mr. Franklin Franklin, two things. Number one, professional competence. And number two, the misstatement. So actually, the case is about this lack of digital literacy. Mr. Franklin. One moment. Mr. Franklin, case digital literacy, ethical source data, and misstatements. Three things here for the ethical case. Not professional competent, that's about the digital literacy. Ethically sourced data, he is least concerned, and deliberately misstate. These three cases. Now, after explanation of this, what are the action points? And especially action point with respect to Miss Pleasant. Here the case. Can you please reply me? All of you are with me. A very different case. Here. The action points. Yes. The point is that action by the chief accountant and the model answer discuss only the whistleblowing. Here only one action point here mentioned, suggested by the model answer. Here model answer not mention about discussion with the management, not mention the help desk of the ACCA, not mention resign, only discuss the whistleblowing. And discussion about only the whistleblowing. All the things about the whistleblowing. Only about the whistleblowing. Because the question is that when we will make a discussion, the action point about as a whistleblower, this is only the case where the situation is very severe. And here the situation is very severe means that something affect to the company's brand or reputation. That is something affect to the ethical matters, affect to the image of the company, the survival of the company, the going concern issues. Then you will work out for the whistleblower. And whatever you done with the whistleblower about your earlier studies in AA or other studies, how to develop the case of whistleblower. Like when a person decides to make action as a whistleblower, that person, if he or she is right, need motivation to stick with the condition. And he or she have a good confidence and the evidence as well. All the evidences. Also, they will face the pressure from the colleagues of the business. And if something in the media, also the relatives and the friends, someone critic as well, but be stick, be confident. All support evidence must be available. So these are the points that's mentioned here. So you can read that particular answer accordingly. But moreover, you can find this, the solution, the bitmus, but I just read about yes. Requirement C. Yes. Requirement C deal with the ethical issue raised by knowledge gained at previous employer that was compromised patent application, but same time would consolidate chief accountant position. In addition, chief accountant feels finance director little knowledge of technology, but director told board to complete opposite. Finally, chief accountant feel that all these things. This is important. Many candidates discuss the difficulties faced by chief accountant and the respect which should be shown toward the confidentiality of the information as a result of business relationship. That is first part. Candidate discuss the nature of ethical conscience of chief accountant, means wish, their inner feelings, and any decision to disclose information. Further, candidates discuss fundamental principle of professional competence, due course, due care, and the require accountant to have sufficient training and like carry out tasks not intentionally mislead the employer. This is important. Generically, 1 mark is allocated for each well-discussed point raised by the candidates. This is the important. If candidates just listed ethical principle without application, then maximum 2 marks would be given. Do reply me. How much total marks available for ethics other than professional marks? Do reply me. How much total marks given? How much total marks for ethics? 7. But if you just list down the code of conduct and the threats, you will be able to get only 2 marks. Marks are allocated as a result of using scenario to demonstrate understanding of ethical issue. That's important. Action points required by chief accountant in the published answer were more subtle in this question and looked at act of whistleblowing and issues surrounding the process. However, if candidates discuss actions such as seeking advice from colleague of ACC or others, then these were appropriate answer and award credit. Are you getting the point? The model answer, it's not only the exhaustive answer, only specific answer. Here, if the action point you mention something other, that's the standard one. We can also get the marks. Many candidates seek to think that accountant should resign immediately if they meet an ethical dilemma. Professional marks awarded for realistic discussion for ethical issues, set out scenario together with sensible appropriate actions. How you will get the professional marks? What do you think? Just type the answer. How you will get the professional marks? What the impression you have developed? How you will be able to get the professional marks? The answer is that we have to build the scenario first, then apply the ethical principle and the threats with the case, finally the action points. This one, logical sequence. This one. You will be able to apply with this manner, you will get it. Most candidates identify key ethical issue in this scenario, achieve good marks, but fewer were able to suggest reasonable actions to situation. Also, some candidates simply cut paste large section of exhibit and then stated this is an ethical issue. Sir, cut paste allowed? It's allowed to draft the things. It's allowed to draft the things. It's allowed. But copy paste in a manner to draft the answer, to support the draft. This action would attract no marks. Candidates have to be sensible when using the cut paste tools. Examination not reward a candidate simple repeating the question back to the examiner. If candidates wish to use cut paste tool, then it should be restricted to part of sentence that are relevant, and they should add their own comments, and in this question appropriate actions. You can copy paste the things but add on the appropriate actions. It is very easy for the marker to recognize the answer that have been cut and paste. The last statement means the marker, the checker, it's not foolish. It's, you, you are expecting that just copy paste the things and I will get the marks. It's not possible. So candidate, that is all about the today's session. The, the final wording of today's session is that whatever we discuss with this today's sessions, you have to apply all these things with the remaining past papers. Spare 21 hours and start working accordingly. This is the question, March June 21 question. Bismillah.